The Texas House has new leadership.
We will take a look into how lawmakers elected Republican Dustin Burrows to that position.
Plus, a fiery day in the U.S. Senate as Pete Hegseth went before those lawmakers for his confirmation hearing. We'll tell you what they asked him and who is expected to be in the Senate today.
Very cold air is going to be filtering in very soon, but could we see some wintry mix with that? We'll have that coming up in your first warning weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. The new Texas legislative session is entering day 2. And today, lawmakers have their Speaker of the House.
That vote happened yesterday, and they elected Republican Dustin Burrows from Lubbock to the position. Before that vote happened, though, he faced pressure from some within his own party to step out of the race. That followed State Representative David Cook winning the House Republican caucus nomination. However, Burrows prevailed yesterday, elected with the support of Democrats and offering a message of unity.
Recent days have tested our bonds, yet they've also proven that this institution is greater than any one individual or any faction.
In a statement on Burrows' win, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who presides over the state Senate, said, quote, Republican voters expected the new speaker to be elected by Republicans, not by Democrats. He added he's counting on Speaker Burrows to pass items that Governor Greg Abbott has called for now.
Today, justices on the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments about a Texas law meant to protect your kids, but opponents say the law comes at the expense of some of your rights. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is in Washington, expected to speak to the Supreme Court defending that state law passed in 2023. It requires pornography websites to institute age verification measures.
Last spring, the owners of the website Pornhub blocked access to Texans over this law. It sued the state to block enforcement, saying it infringes on the rights of adults to access protected speech. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals backed the state, so Pornhub's owners appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. When he spoke about that case previously, Paxton said, quote, Texas has a clear interest in protecting children.
New today, Austin real estate developer Nate Paul has pled guilty to a charge of making false statements to a lending institution. According to court documents obtained by KXAN investigators, the agreement is part of an 18-month-long case involving federal bank and wire fraud related to his work as the head of World Class. The government recommends 6 months in prison, 5 years probation, and a $1 million fine, but Paul has not yet been sentenced.
First warning weather.
As we enter our noon hour on this Wednesday, we want to show you a live look from the Austonian. Out west in Austin, you're seeing the clouds hang around today. Temperatures climbing into the mid-50s, but our meteorologist Freddie Bella is tracking a new cold dip that we're expected to take maybe later this weekend.
I would like to say that the one that we had just recently, that was just a taste. That was the starter,
the
if you will.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I can't say that word. You can though. Take a look at what we can be experiencing. So we know that the next front is arriving as we go from Saturday into Sunday. That's going to help drive down the temperatures. But the other thing we're going to be watching is that wintry mix that's possible from Monday into Tuesday. We have that moisture returning that's going to mix in and unfortunately give us the possibility of seeing some sleet or maybe something else. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Let's talk about those colder mornings that we're going to see ahead. So we do have a nice cold morning tomorrow morning, and then it slowly starts to warm up before that next front comes in, and there it is. On Sunday, your low is 30. On Monday, in the 20s, and that continues as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday as well. And that's all coming up. Right now, let's talk about current temperatures. Now into the mid-50s. We had a couple of 40s when we started off the 11 a.m. hour. Those were all gone. Now we're at about 55 in Austin, 55 in Fredericksburg, 55 in Mason, and 53 as you get out towards San Saba. A live look out of our Indeed camera at the Domain. Still beautiful outside as we have plenty of cloud coverage at this point. So what are we going to be watching? Well, enjoy the warmth that we have for now. Saturday, it's not going to be that bad before the front arrives, and then it's going to feel much colder. That next strong cold front, that's going to be arriving. I'll talk a bit more about that. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, that wintry mix, all of that will be coming up in your first warning weather.
Freddie, thank you. We do want to take you to Washington, D.C. now, where federal lawmakers are once again holding confirmation hearings for more of incoming President Donald Trump's nominees. Secretary of State nominee Florida Senator Marco Rubio and the nominee for Attorney General Pam Bondi are both on the schedule today.
Rubio is expected to sail through the confirmation process pretty easily with support from Democrats. However, some Democrats say they want to know if Bondi will run an independent Justice Department. Meanwhile, yesterday, Trump's nominee to run the Defense Department, Pete Hegseth, faced off with senators on Capitol Hill.
Democrats hit him with some tough questions about his past. During that contentious confirmation hearing, Republicans we saw took a softer approach. Hegseth answered questions about accusations of excessive drinking, financial mismanagement, and an allegation of sexual assault. Since Trump nominated him, Hegseth has come under fire for what some Democrats and even a few Republicans have described as a history of questionable behavior. During that hearing yesterday, the former Fox News host and combat veteran denied that he drank excessively and said he will not drink on the job if confirmed as defense secretary. He also denied the sexual assault allegations against him from 2017, which we'll note police investigated, but no charges were filed.
Democratic senators also grilled him on concerns that he mismanaged the finances of a veterans organization that he previously led, which then led the group's board to oust him. Hegseth repeatedly assured senators he was fit to run the Defense Department, claiming that while he is not perfect, he has changed.
He brings a sort of a warrior mentality. He was in the front lines. I think we need that. He doesn't come from the same sort of cocktail party circuit that we're used to. I'm good with that. I think that's a good thing. I think people are rejecting the same old from permanent Washington.
I have concluded that he lacks the character, the competence, and the commitment to do this job. He's probably the least qualified individual ever suggested to be the Secretary of Defense in my tenure and perhaps in the history of the country.
Process.
The Senate will likely take its final vote on whether to confirm Hegseth next week.
Security plans are underway ahead of Trump's inauguration on Monday. Crews are installing fences as we speak. More than 250,000 people bought tickets for the event. 25,000 police officers and military members will be on hand, including 4,000 officers from other parts of the country. Washington, D.C.'s police chief says with several other events happening on Inauguration Day and in those days leading up to it, law enforcement will work to ensure everything remains peaceful.
We want people to come to the District of Columbia to enjoy our city, but those who break the law will be arrested and will be held accountable for their actions.
Among those expected to be in attendance, tech leaders, including Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos.
Speaking of billionaire Elon Musk, he is now being sued for securities fraud. The Securities and Exchange Commission claims that Musk did not disclose his ownership in Twitter before buying that company in 2022. It says he bought shares at, quote, artificially low prices. It also says he owned more than 5% of the company's stock at that time. The SEC says by Musk withholding that information, he was able to underpay at least $150 million for shares. Musk responded to a comment about the news on his platform X, calling the SEC a, quote, totally broken organization.
Back here, a little closer to home, Eanes ISD and their school board officially voted to close Valley View Elementary School starting next school year. A release from the district cited declining enrollment at the campus. It called this part of a bigger effort to deal with a currently projected $3 million plus budget deficit, and that's only expected to increase next year. The district expects to save $2 million alone from closing this campus just through attrition.
Today, classes are canceled at Presidential Meadows Elementary School in Manor. This is after a water valve broke yesterday in the Cottonwood Creek Mud 1. Some Crossroads utility customers are without water now. Repairs on all of this began yesterday, and we're working to confirm when service will return to that area again.
Welcome back, everybody. We are taking a beautiful live look from our KXAN weather cam over downtown Austin. Those clouds are doing some crazy things out there, but paints a pretty picture for us. Freddie's going to have a full look at your forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. First, our area has hit a new milestone this morning. A lunar lander built right here in Central Texas is now on its way to the moon.
Pretty cool, right? Well, KXAN senior science reporter Eric Henriksen is joining us after following this mission. Eric, this seems like a big achievement for them.
Huge achievement for all of us. Everyone here in Central Texas, this is on you. So Blue Ghost 1 has a 45-day trip to the moon to look forward to, and during that time, the lunar lander will conduct several different science experiments. One will study GPS signals, trying to determine if our current GPS network will work on the moon, while the other studies how radiation deep in space interacts with computers. These and other experiments on the spacecraft are part of NASA's CLIPS initiative, where private companies help NASA conduct science in space.
A lot of these are first-time vendors, first-time flying to the moon. We know it's high risk. We accept it's high risk, but man, it's high reward. And so it is worth taking the risk because the science that we will get back from these missions is just going to be amazing.
Now, Blue Ghost is scheduled to land on the moon on March 2nd. This follows 25 days in Earth orbit, 4 days flying to the moon, and 16 days in lunar orbit. It's not the only lunar lander heading to the moon. Also aboard the same SpaceX rocket that took this one, Blue Ghost 1, up, was a Japanese lunar lander. They actually sent another lander last year. That one crashed. So this is their second attempt.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes.
So fingers crossed it all goes well.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. There actually hasn't been a completely perfect, successful commercial landing yet. They've had landings that they land and something shears off or they topple on the side, stuff like that. So this could be the first perfect, 100% successful lunar landing if it succeeds. Fingers crossed.
Fascinating.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Looking for perfection. Do you have a perfect forecast for us?
That was nice.
I wish, but no, it doesn't look like that.
First day back from a vacation, I'm putting you on the spot, right?
Honestly, that's what I was just telling Will. I just walked in and it's like, oh, boom, boom. We got to watch out for wintry mix now.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Yeah, so take a look. This is what we're watching. This is your first warning about an Arctic cold plunge that's going to be coming through. Now, we do know that we do have the chance of some wintry mix in there, and that's what we'll continue to watch. Now, overall, we'll be watching, well, intently now, but overall, it'll be from Sunday to about Wednesday. And this is for all of Central Texas. And some of the impacts we're going to be feeling are temperatures down into the 20s and 30s. A couple of areas in the hill country could even be down into the teens. Wind chill will also be down in the teens, but it's going to be that wintry mix and that precipitation overall that we're going to be watching, because that's where we could see the change. And it all depends on the warmth that we actually get. So this is an Arctic cold front that's going to be coming in. Just one of the many types of fronts that we actually receive, coming straight down and bringing in some bone-chilling air that we're going to be feeling. So I have two different models for you. This is our GFS model, and let's play this one out a bit more. And I started the clock here on Sunday at 3 a.m. Watch as we get closer. We get to about Monday, 8:30. This one says nothing happening just yet. Moisture starts to flow back in, but it's not until we get to early Tuesday that we could see some type of wintry mix in there. That lasts to the afternoon, and then it's done. So GFS model says it's going to be quick and pretty much done pretty quickly overall. Now, the Euro model actually starts it off on Monday night at around 7:30. Wintry mix starts to pick up. This one shows a bit more, not only for us, but farther down towards the south as you get down to the Rio Grande Valley. And that continues through Tuesday at 10:30. And by the time we get to the afternoon, it's pretty much said and done. You may still see a bit more here and there. So overall, it depends on the type that we actually get that could affect us longer term. But at least they're coalescing to Tuesday, looking like that's going to be the better chance there. So temperatures right now, 55 in Austin, 55 in Fredericksburg, 56 in Mason. As we look at satellite and radar over the past couple of hours, a lot of moisture still flowing through out towards the coastal region as you get out towards Houston, down to about Corpus Christi. But back here at home, all we're seeing is mostly cloudy conditions. Rain just off of the edge there, but missing it just a bit more. Cedar and mold in the low categories, but both on the upward trend right now. So let's put it all together on what we're experiencing. A bit of warmth as we start getting into Thursday and Friday. Now that I like to see. And then we start to see temperatures drop one more time. That strong front comes in Saturday, takes our temperatures down to 45 on Sunday, 42 on Monday. Look at Tuesday, 35 as a high. Your lows into the 20s and even teens in certain spots.
Welcome back, and thanks again for sticking with us here on KXAN News at noon. The time 12:24. A live look right now from the Circuit at the Americas, where cloud coverage is sticking around much like many parts of our area today. We'll get an update about the temperatures and a big cold front that's moving in and going to bring us some very cold air coming up this weekend with Freddie in just a few moments. Now, there are new reports of unsanitary conditions at several Boar's Head deli meat plants. Inspection records released by the Agriculture Department found mold, insects, and unidentified slime and other serious problems at plants in Indiana, Arkansas, and Virginia. Records from a fourth plant in Michigan do not show similar problems, though. The findings echo issues at a Virginia Boar's Head factory that was closed last year after a deadly outbreak of listeria poisoning. Boar's Head faces several lawsuits connected to that outbreak. Company officials said in an email Monday that those violations documented in the 3 factories do not meet, quote, our high standards. Boar's Head is hiring a food safety culture manager, according to a former FDA official who is now advising that company. The Food and Drug Administration announced today that it is banning food dye red number 3. The FDA granted a petition filed by 24 food safety and health advocates. They had pushed the agency to revoke authorization for the substance found in some candy, cakes, and maraschino cherries to give them a bright red color. The agency says this is because some studies have found that dye caused cancer in lab rats. Officials say the FDA is required to ban any additive found to cause cancer in either people or animals.
You could soon see some more helpful information when you are choosing food at the grocery store. The FDA wants to display levels of sugar, saturated fat, and salt on the front of products. Those new labels would be in addition to the full nutrition label you generally see on the back of a product. That rule could go into effect as soon as 2028.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
I don't care about the rumors. I just care about the discord within the community.
That's the mayor of Bastrop resigning. He stepped down yesterday after what he calls a witch hunt. Lyle Nelson faced an upcoming recall election following months of controversy and some accusations against him.
At a meeting last night, the city council was scheduled to discuss the details of a May special election. It would allow voters to decide whether to remove Nelson from his position that he's held since June 2023. There has been controversy over Bastrop's management, spanning beyond just the mayor's office. But Nelson faced accusations of misuse of public funds. Yesterday, he said that there were, quote, unproven accusations by some other members of the city council. He says he was, quote, absolved of misdeeds by the city's administrative director, the district attorney, and even the Texas Rangers. Still, he stepped down.
The citizens have put out an outcry that the pettiness needs to cease. I'm going to remove myself from being a part of that pettiness, whether I wanted to be a part of that pettiness or not.
Nelson said the mayor's position will remain open until the May election. The mayor pro tem will now oversee city operations until that time.
Thousands of people in jails across Texas are waiting for months or even years behind bars for help with mental health.
To give you some context about that, KXAN investigators found nearly 1,800 people are waiting to secure a state hospital bed. That's where they could get treatment to help them become competent to stand trial. That's all according to the most recent data available from the Texas Health and Human Services Commission.
On average, the wait time for a maximum security state hospital bed is around 367 days, more than a year. But that's something Hays County wants to change. It wants to have a jail-based competency restoration program. 21 Texas county jails have implemented similar programs. It brings mental health care to the jail, helping defendants address mental health concerns and education on the legal system.
So the idea is that we'd be able to quickly get people into the program, restored within 40 to 60 days, so that they can get a resolution to their case.
The county is financially responsible for the lengthy jail accommodations. This could help cut down on those costs as well.
Online now, our Investigates team has extensive coverage on the issues plaguing the state's jail system. On our homepage, navigate to the Investigates tab and click on Mental Competency. There you'll find immersive articles focusing on the personal stories of inmates and their families impacted by the state's mental competency backlog.
First warning weather.
Okay, we want to get a live look now over downtown Austin, where we're starting to see a little bit of sun here, but those clouds have been hanging low today.
Yeah, and the temperatures are hovering in the mid-50s at this point there, Freddie, but give us a sense about what we're looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a cold one, especially as we get out past Saturday. So Saturday is going to be your last day to really enjoy. And we'll be back to freezing once again. In fact, speaking of freezing, let's take a look at how many days we've actually seen freezing conditions since October. We've actually only seen about 4 freezes overall. And on average for the year, we normally see it about 12. So we're a little behind right now. We could catch up over the next couple of days. In fact, as we look at your recent freeze count for the past 5 years, 23 to 24, 8 freezes, 22 to 23, about 14 freezes. We have to go to 21 to 22 to actually see 17 freezing days out there. And then it starts to slow down as you get down to 19, 20. Only 6 freezes that year. And right now we're at 4. So at least we'll be passing that one, it looks like, as we get out towards next week. Here's a live look out of our covert Bee Cave Auto Mall camera in Bee Cave itself. And here, most of the clouds have cleared out, and we're seeing beautiful sunny skies. Temperatures at this point, 55 in Austin, 56 in San Marcos, 57 in Fredericksburg, 58 in Georgetown, and 55 in Bastrop. Notice that we get a bit more cloud coverage in a couple of the cities compared to Fredericksburg and Georgetown, where things have already started to clear out. So coming up, we're going to be talking about this nice, warm temperatures that we're currently seeing right now. That'll last with us at least Saturday before that next front arrives. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we take another look to see what you can expect as we see some moisture flow back through.
Freddie, thank you. Across Southern California, a new round of Santa Ana winds today are expected to produce extremely critical fire conditions.
The death toll from those fires now stands at 25, with 40,000 acres in the LA area burned. NBC's Jay Gray is in Altadena with the latest.
Well, let's start with the conditions. Overnight, we did not see the powerful winds that were forecast. Still some gusts over 70 miles an hour and still some problems for crews working on brush fires. But overall, not the attack from Mother Nature we expected. Now it's not over, and let's talk a little bit about that. We could still see strong, severe winds, and there are red flag warnings in effect until this afternoon. Around 3 this afternoon is when they expect the possibility of those strong winds to end. And that's when many of those who have been out of their homes for a week or longer may start to get the chance to come back in. And when they do, in areas like this, Altadena, many are going to find there is very little left.
When you stare at your front door that's gone, and you have the few moments to contemplate, what does this really mean to my life? I mean, I still don't fully understand everything I have is gone, but you have to decide, I have to find some meaning in why this happened.
Again, much of the fire zone still under a red flag warning and will be until this afternoon. Fire teams still on the ground, still working containment and making some progress as well. That's the good news. Once this clears, they should have a couple of days where Mother Nature is going to allow them to really get a foothold here, really attack these fires and try and get control of what's just been an overwhelming situation. That's the latest right now from here in Altadena. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
Can we do more? Yes. We need to remove those fuels. We need to do what we can to mitigate the threat and eliminate the fuel hazard. We can also increase our codes. But at the end of the day, we also need to be able to respond to these better.
That was the president of the International Association of Firefighters talking to MSNBC earlier this week. That same message is being shared now by the head of the Austin Firefighters Association.
Chief Bob Nix says what you're seeing happening there in Los Angeles is not out of the question here. The Austin Metro ranks among the highest in wildfire risk in the country. Nix says now is the time for our city to tackle preparations they have not done already. Things like updating our building code to require fuel mitigation in high-risk areas, getting the Austin Fire Department additional ladder trucks. We've told you that they have not added one to their fleet since 1995. and upping firefighter staffing.
I think that they should internalize that what we see in LA, all extreme, could happen to a large degree here in Austin in the right conditions, and most of the conditions exist today.
Nick says West and Northwest Austin in particular have very similar topography to the California cities impacted by these fires. He also pointed to our dry conditions. The Austin City Council has passed several resolutions for additional ladder trucks, as Will mentioned, but they have not been put into service.
The latest resolution, passed in September last year, directed the city manager to find the funding to staff additional trucks. Those trucks are not equipment, they are tied to staffing. Captains with the highest level of tactical training are on those ladder trucks.
We are taking a live look out at the lake today, a gorgeous view. Those blue skies that we are enjoying, but we know those temperatures will soon be dropping. So hey, if you've got lake plans, Freddie tells us the next couple of days are your best bet. He's got a look at that cold front and your full forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. We want to turn now to California, where wireless companies are helping communities and first responders there stay connected, even in fire-devastated areas.
Rich DeMuro takes a look now.
Major communications companies are stepping up to support communities impacted by the recent LA area wildfires. They're bringing out network reinforcements, and it's making a difference. According to Ookla, the three major networks experienced service disruptions during the initial fire outbreak, but quickly restored service.
I think 5 macros out of service. Comparatively speaking, when the fire first broke out, it was up to 140.
The biggest challenge, power outages. All the major carriers rely on mobile cell phone towers to patch service gaps or increase capacity.
It's a temporary deployed asset to ensure that we have our best and our most capable wireless service and technology available right here on the spot.
Verizon says it has over 550 mobile assets ready to deploy, including drones. AT&T rolled out mobile towers on trucks and activated its specialized first responder network called FirstNet.
We're here at Will Rogers State Beach, normally a place where people are surfing and sunbathing, but now it has become a mobile command and communications hub for all the various jurisdictions leading these recovery efforts.
I mean, obviously connectivity, communications are everything, to know where our resources are, where our units are, where all of our folks are.
T-Mobile deployed mobile satellite cellular antennas, prioritized first responders' traffic on their network, and equipped them with eSIMs. T-Mobile also activated Starlink Direct-to-Cell, enabling customers to send text messages via satellite when cellular service is unavailable. And speaking of Starlink, the company outfitted Cybertrucks with satellite internet, turning them into mobile Wi-Fi hotspots. Starlink also offering LA customers their first month of service free. Finally, Spectrum activated thousands of free Wi-Fi hotspots across the city. Just connect to Spectrum Free Trial to get online.
That is Rich DeMuro reporting from California for us. Okay, we wanted to turn now to some big news. I got too excited there about this next story. I couldn't even get the words out. Some big news out of the University of Texas. After 3 seasons as a starter, Longhorn quarterback Quinn Ewers has declared for the 2025 NFL Draft. He posted the announcement on social media, saying the relationships he built between coaches and his teammates would last forever. Ewers led the program to back-to-back semi-final playoff games and to a Big 12 championship. He has 27 career wins under his belt as that starter, so that puts him in elite quarterback company with only the likes of pretty much Colt McCoy and Vince Young with more wins. Here's some Quinn stats for you. 737 completions, over 9,000 passing yards, and 68 passing touchdowns. 13 Longhorns have declared for the draft, and their messages, including Quinn's, are so sweet. They bring tears to my eyes. Just like you can tell how much the team has impacted them.
How do you think the fans are all reacting to that news?
Well, yeah, that's a loaded question, Will. I know a lot of people are really excited for Arch Manning, who will be our starter next year, the Manning era. But I think from what I can see, and my personal opinion, our director Cam knows this, that I go on a rant defending Quinn. But he really brought brought us back to where we are. I mean, it was a slow climb out of what I call the dark ages, particularly when I was in school. And he, you hear the players talk about him with just utter respect and admiration. They're like, he's our guy, he's our leader. And I don't think you can money can't buy that, right? Just like leadership.
Well,
there's my TED Talk. Thank you.
I have one question for you. Who is this going to benefit more overall in the long run? Is it going to benefit him going into the NFL, or it's Manning now taking the lead?
Oh, I think it remains to be seen, but I wish him the best in the draft. I'll be rooting for you, Quinn.
There you go. So I have been talking about a lot of wintry mix, right? I've been using that term all over the place, and I've gotten some questions. What does that mean? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what we mean, and this is why we haven't committed to just one, and we're saying that we have the chance of seeing some type of wintry mix. It all depends on the warm air and the temperatures that we actually see here that'll dictate whether we get rain, freezing rain, sleet, or snow. And as you can tell here, everything above this, that's all freezing. This is all freezing, but it depends on what that warm layer has to go through in order to reach the ground. If it's nothing but warmth on the way down, it's just rain. If it goes to some warmth and then a little bit of cold again, below 32, then we get some freezing rain. If we get a decent amount of cold air below 32 degrees compared to the warmth, and then you start to see sleet, and then there's snow, which is just no warm air whatsoever, and we just see freezing all the way down, and then we get that snow. So overall, that's the type of precipitation we're looking at and saying, well, we know it's going to be some type of wintry mix. It just depends on that warm layer that we see. So it's very, very tough to kind of get that cold air this far south, especially because of our proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, and then, of course, the change in topography as well. So this is a big area that we're trying to forecast, and what we could actually see kind of filter through, which is why right now we're committing to a wintry mix compared to telling you, well, this is exactly what you're going to see. So the GFS model is one of the models we've been using to kind of determine what we could actually see as we get out towards Tuesday and into Wednesday. And we know that there's going to be some type of wintry mix, and even the models disagree just a bit on how much or what we could actually see overall. And this model is saying Tuesday morning to Tuesday night, and then it's done. Compared to the Euro model, which is saying Monday night, we could start to see some type of wintry mix, and a majority of that could be less than ideal, mostly freezing rain or some type of ice as it reaches the ground and then freezes. So we'll continue to monitor that as well as that comes through. All right, the temperatures that we're actually going to see on Monday morning are going to be down into the teens out towards the hill country and into the mid to low 20s as you reach out towards the metro and eastern counties. And then Monday afternoon, we're not even leaving the 30s as you're out towards the hill country, and the 40s as you're within most of the metro. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Again, warmth all the way up until Saturday. The front comes in, temperatures drop, and then the wintry mix comes back in as we get into Monday and Tuesday. By the way, I've been talking about all this winter weather forecasting in Texas. It is tough to get the cold air this far south, the proximity to the Gulf, as I just mentioned, and it all depends on the actual temperature, the freezing temperatures that we see, where that could be, and then as that moisture starts to fall, what it could actually land as. So that is your first warning, Weather University.
Soon the world will get a new look at the most notorious mobster in history. The Mob Museum in Las Vegas is offering the public a rare look at Al Capone's life. The exhibit will feature some of his personal items, such as a pistol that he considered his lifesaver, and a 1929 home movie that shows the casual moments of Capone's life.
They understand the reputation that he had as a mob boss in Chicago in the 1920s and early 30s. So we at the Mob Museum, we talk a lot about him. We talk a lot about his story, and we have artifacts reflecting that era and his life.
After Capone's death in 1947, many of his belongings stayed within the family. His grandchildren, though, auctioned off some of the items for preservation.
We know yesterday was an exciting day back here at the Texas Capitol, not only with it being the first day of the legislative session, but it was also a very romantic one after a Dallas lawmaker proposed to his partner.
Oh, we want to show you this nice moment. Shortly after getting sworn in yesterday, State Representative Vinton Jones got down on one knee right there and proposed to his partner, Gregory Scott Jr. Lots of cheers to go around, too. Jones is one of the first openly gay black men elected to the Texas legislature. He says he and his fiancee, quote, stand as proof that progress is unstoppable and no amount of hate can erase that. So we want to say congrats to the happy couple there. A momentous day for sure, and one that neither one of them is soon to forget.
And nice to hear some cheers and some love on that floor. I think there's often a lot of pointing and yelling and discontent, and so I love that we kicked off the session that way.
We may get to that at some point very soon, but yeah, it's nice to see that.
We got Rich Siegel clapping in the Weather Center. I think that was everybody's reaction there.
Hey, speaking of weather, let's go ahead and take a look at what you can expect for tonight. 38 degrees, winds coming in from the north, very light out there, just a few clouds, but should be expecting mostly clear conditions. For tomorrow, temperatures at around 65 degrees, winds coming in from the northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. You'll get a bit of clouds, but not too much. We're expecting for mostly sunshine overall. But this is what we've all been waiting for, or looking for, not wanting, essentially.
Yeah, far from that.
I want to choose my words carefully here, because temperatures are expected to drop down into the 20s. Some people are excited for the colder weather, some are not. We obviously can be on either side of the other, whether we want summer weather or winter weather. But it is here, so you get a mix of both. Nice, calm conditions over the next couple of days, staying in the 60s as we get to Saturday. That front comes in, and then the mornings down into the teens and 20s. And as we get into MLK Day, we're looking at about 42 degrees, with the wintry mix possible. And Tuesday seems like that's going to be the better chance for us overall.
Ooh, I feel like I just want to cover my eyes and ignore that part of the forecast.
Right?
Because I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Bust out the coats, be ready, and be nice bundled up. I know a lot of the kids, especially as you get into San Saba, are going to be watching and waiting to see what happens.
All right, thank you all, and thank you as well for watching here this afternoon. We will see you back here in about half an hour with another update. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Take care.